And welcome to the Sports Roundtable today. And what a weekend it is here in high school athletics. Here wrapping up the fall season, fall sports season here in the next week. We've got big semifinal action taking place today. Actually, we had one big matchup last night already in state semifinal football action. And we'll just roll right into that game that took place last night. And it was in the Class 4 football state semifinals here in Missouri, and it was Cape Central getting a victory over St. Charles West up in St. Charles yesterday evening, 42-21. And that was a similar game earlier in the year. They played within the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Cape Central defeated St. Charles West and did it at home earlier in the year. Went on the road up in St. Charles last night and got another decisive victory over St. Charles West. So Cape Central in the state championship game for the state of Missouri in Class 4, their first ever in the school history. And a big season, big game last night for Cape Central, moving on to the state championship game in the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis next weekend. So Cape Central will await the winner, which we'll talk about in just a moment. The other team yet to be decided in that championship game for next week. And other games to look forward to today are in Class 1. Valley Catholic will take on Skyline this afternoon, and the winner will advance on to the state championship in Class 1 as they will take on Western. Western defeated Hamilton Penny last night to advance to the championship game, and Valley Catholic going to be the runaway favorite to defeat Skyline this afternoon. And Western awaits the winner, which Valley Catholic defeated early in the season by a big margin. It was upwards to 40 points, the victory for Valley Catholic. So if Valley Catholic advances, they're certainly going to be the runaway favorite to win another state championship in Class 1 as they just rolled over Western earlier in the year. They were ranked number 1 and 2 respectively in the state at that time, and it didn't look like it because Western was never at any point in that contest with Valley Catholic. So big matchup there this afternoon, Valley Catholic and Skyline, and Valley looking for another state championship for another consecutive year in Class 1. They've certainly been the class of Class 1 in high school football. And big matchup taking place today at the Swamp in Malden. Lamar, the 3-time defending state champion, visits Malden this afternoon at 1 o'clock, and a big matchup. Going to be a lot of people on hand for this one. You want to turn out to support the Green Wave. They got a big matchup as they take on Lamar. And in the other semifinal game, it's Palmyra and South Callaway taking place this afternoon as well. So Malden and Lamar, I think these are the two top teams in the state. I can't say a whole lot for Palmyra and South Callaway, but the way Malden's been rolling through their season, you got to expect. I would suspect these are the top two teams in the state at this point here in the semifinals. And Lamar's been a juggernaut the past 3 years. Actually, you can say going back the past 6 years, they have made the Class 2 semifinals for 6 years straight. That's right, 6 years straight they've made the semifinal round. They've won the state championship for the past 3 years in a row, and very effective offense and defense. So Malden's got their hands full today, but I think Lamar will too. I know Lamar is going to be considered the favorite, as they probably should be, coming off 3 straight state titles and another really good team this year. Malden's probably got one of the best offenses in Class 2 across the state, and that'll be. I think the matchups are going to be defensively. How Lamar can stifle Malden's offense. They're kind of three-headed running attack with Draymond Robinson, Nick Thompson, and Cortez Dobbins, and even got threats on the outside and Parker McCormick and Jeremy Jones that can take passes for big gains. And Chapin Riley's probably going to be a big player in this game. I know Lamar's defense is probably going to be looking to stop the run first of the Green Wave, and Chapin Riley, the junior quarterback for the Green Wave, might be called upon to make some plays in the passing game. And he's done well here in the last few weeks. I know last week in Cardinal Ritter, didn't really throw the ball deep down the field, but a couple throws around 10 to 15 yards went for big gains, notably to Draymond Robinson. He had a couple big pass plays, And Jeremy Jones also in the passing game getting some plays downfield. So Chapin Riley might be called upon to make a play down the field in the passing game if the running game is stifled early on for the Green Waves. So it'll be very interesting to see how this game plays out. I know Lamar's got a very unique offense, as they have two quarterbacks coming out of the backfield doing a lot of misdirection. They've got a big misdirection offense, gets the defense out of line, out of position to make plays. So Mullen certainly got their work cut out for them from a preparation standpoint this week. I know you've got 1 week to prepare, and you'll probably have all the film you can look at, but it's certainly a team they probably haven't had to prepare for in the past when it comes to scheme in an offense. This offense is certainly a difficult scheme to prepare for, certainly in a week's time when you haven't faced it already. So Malden certainly had the difficult preparation this week when it comes to their offensive scheme. So I'm really looking forward to the defenses today, seeing how they react and how they come in with their game plan and who's effective early on, because I think whoever kind of gets out to that early lead, I think they might be in position to hold on to it. The way both of these teams play offensively, I think once a team gets a rhythm early on, being able to move the ball, put the ball in the end zone, will probably have the advantage of keeping that lead as the game progresses. So really looking forward to seeing how the defenses come in with their preparation and how they can be effective early on. So that's probably going to be the aspect of the game to look forward to defensively, how these teams are going to be able to prepare and be effective towards the other. So big game. I know Malden's had one of their most dominant seasons ever, probably their most dominant season ever, averaging around 60 points a game, over 60 points a game. And they haven't been tested all year long. They've rolled through their season, beating everybody 40, 50 points, having 40 to 50 points at halftime in most of their games this year. So they certainly haven't been challenged up until this point, but that goes to a credit. It's a credit to them and how they've produced this year and showing up every week throughout the season. And certainly their toughest challenge of the year is today, this afternoon, and we'll see how Malden comes out and plays. I know probably one aspect that won't come up against so far this year is actually being challenged on both sides of the ball and maybe playing from a deficit. It might be I don't think they've really played at a deficit this year. I don't think they've maybe earlier in the year a team maybe scored first, maybe an opening week with New Madrid they may have scored first. I'm not really sure, but they might have to play from a deficit today at some point of the game. So we'll see how they can respond to that, which I know they're made of a lot. So it shows and what kind of a dominant season they've had so far this year. So 1 o'clock start today in Malden. Malden versus Lamar. The winner advances to the Class II state championship next weekend in the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis. Can't wait for this matchup. I know the Malden faithful is going to be turning out a big turnout for Lamar as well. I'm going to be coming over from the southwest portion of the state. And I was actually looking online last night through Facebook and whatnot. They call themselves the Brotherhood. They've got a really cohesive team, and not only that, a fan base that really follows the Lamar Tigers. And they say the Brotherhood's coming to Malden. So we'll see how it all plays out this afternoon in Malden. Certainly, I think Malden's played in a state championship game before, maybe in the late '60s, but I would count this game as probably the biggest game in the school's history. You're playing the 3-time defending state champion in Lamar and rolling through their dynasty, I guess you would call it, going for a 4th straight state title. And Malden with a win at home against Lamar and going on and playing in the state championship, potentially winning a state championship, certainly would be a story to tell for years and even decades to come if they were to pull off that victory this afternoon. I can only think back in the mid to late 90s when Malden had really good teams then. They had really good teams in the mid to late 90s and always run up against John Burroughs there in Class 2. It seems like in that quarterfinal round, I think they always met up with John Burroughs there in that the mid to late 90s. They had really good teams that met up with John Burroughs and fell short. So, that was certainly the the part of the Malden football program to remember just a couple decades ago that they just couldn't get past John Burroughs. And if Malden gets by Lamar, that will certainly be the storyline to remember for decades to come, that they defeated the three-time defending state champion and went on to the state championship and potentially winning it. That's one thing for Malden. If they beat this Lamar team, it will give them a lot of confidence going into that state title game, because Lamar's the class of Class 3 in high school football. So really looking forward to that game this afternoon. 1 o'clock start in Malden. Be sure to turn out and support the Green Wave, and we'll be looking forward to that game this afternoon. And taking a look at the other state tournaments, John Burroughs takes on Manette this afternoon. They will take on Oak Grove. The winner will move on to take on Oak Grove in the state championship game next weekend. And Oak Grove defeated California last night to move on to that state title game. And John Burroughs is going to be the favorite to advance over Manette. They just rolled over Park Hill Central last night, or actually last weekend. Last weekend, John Burroughs just rolled over Manette. I'm getting mixed up here. John Burroughs rolled over Park Hill Central. I think the score was 48-0. Park Hill Central was rolling, had an undefeated season going, and ran up against that juggernaut in John Burroughs as John Burroughs advances and going to be the favorite to move over Manette in this semifinal contest. So we'll see what happens this afternoon as John Burroughs takes on Manette in Class 3. Now in Class 4, as we mentioned, Cape Central advanced over St. Charles West last night, 42-21, and now they will take on the winner of Webb City and Kearney, and that'll be taking place this afternoon as well, as Webb City is the, I think, 6-time defending Class 4 state champion, and they're taking on Kearney this afternoon. And Cape Central lost to Webb City in the semifinal round last year, and it was a decisive victory for Webb City, and for that matter, it was a decisive victory for anybody Webb City played last year. They rolled through the state championship as well, and could be a rematch of last year's semifinal game with Cape Central and Webb City. I would certainly count on Webb City advancing in the semifinal contest and advance to take on Cape Central in the state championship game next weekend. So there's another big game for Cape Central if they were to go up against Webb City. Kind of another giant to take down in Webb City, the 6-time defending state champion. And big game for Cape Central. Last night they advanced to their first ever state championship in the school's history, and they've got a lot of talent on that team. Al Young comes to mind, their star wide receiver. Peyton Montgomery transferred from Chaffee last year, coming into Cape Central and playing very well, and a very well-rounded team in Cape Central this year. The running attack, their defense, all around, certainly a top-tier team in the state of Missouri. And Cape Central in that state championship game next week in St. Louis. And in Class 5, we've got the state championship set for next weekend. Battle will take on Nixa. Battle won over Ladue last night, and Nixa advanced over Park Hill. And that sets up Battle and Nixa for the Class 5 state championship next weekend in the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis. So the Class 5 state championship is set, and waiting on the others to round out the state final contests as well this afternoon. So like I said, after today we'll have the state championship set for next weekend to wrap up the football season, and hopefully we'll have some more teams in there. Valley Catholic likely to move on. Cape Central already in that title game, and you got Malden right there just waiting to potentially be that third team from the southeast Missouri area in a state championship game next weekend. And I can't think of any team. St. Genevieve's the southeast region. We wouldn't consider them here in the Boot Hill or anything of that matter, but certainly in the southeast region, and potentially 3 teams from the southeast region in the state championship game next weekend. So it's going to be a big week for southeast Missouri football teams if all 3 would advance, but still yet Valley Catholic likely to be there, Cape Central already there. So certainly will be a big weekend either way if Malden would advance or not. So big year in Southeast Missouri football this year. A lot of good teams, and kind of the cream's rising to the top at this point of the year, and certainly got some of the best football teams we've seen come out of Southeast Missouri this year in 2014. So we'll see how it all plays out this afternoon and who lands in state championship games next weekend. And we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to take a look at some upcoming high school basketball tournaments that'll be getting underway in just over a week. And also we're going to touch on our basketball broadcast coming up as well for the 2014 and 2015 basketball season, our broadcast schedule here on YHC TV and SemoSportsZone.com. So we'll be back with that coming up.
NFL Red Zone, the channel that brings you every touchdown from every game on Sunday afternoons. Watch the most exciting moments like never before, live in HD. Every touchdown from every game, live on one channel, NFL Red Zone.
Always on the go? Take the best in TV entertainment with you with New Wave to Go. Now you can enjoy your home television service everywhere, anytime on your laptop, tablet, or smartphone. Watch your favorite channels and sporting events live via the internet. Even access your home DVR to enjoy your recorded shows and movies or to set up future recordings. Prices start at just $12.99 a month. So call us today and ask about New Wave to Go. Another innovative service brought to you by New Wave, your local communications experts.
And now taking a look at some upcoming basketball tournaments, as basketball season is coming upon us here in the next couple of weeks. And the Holcomb Invitational Tournament has released their bracket for the beginning of the year. Top-seeded Bernie will take on 8th-seeded Risco. 4th-seeded Puxico will take on 5th-seeded Campbell. 3rd-seeded Twin Rivers will take on 6th-seeded Holcomb, and 2nd-seeded Bloomfield will take on 7th-seeded Piggott. And that'll be taking place in Holcomb this year for that invitational tournament. That tour makes the cycle Campbell, Bernie, Holcomb, and Holcomb this year. So that's certainly one of the premier tournaments to begin the year, especially among the small schools. So we'll be looking forward to that tournament taking place, and we'll talk more about that tournament here momentarily. So stick around, talk more about that tournament. The championship game will be on the 5th, so that tournament will begin on December 1st in Holcomb in just a few weeks to start the basketball season here in Southeast Missouri. And also the SEMO Conference Tournament in Sikeston has their bracket put together. And 9 teams in the conference, and Jackson with the top seed. They'll take on the winner of Kennett and Dexter. Kennett will have a kind of a play-in game, an 8-9 game. To the winner advances to take on top-seeded Jackson. And the 4-5 game is Notre Dame and New Madrid County Central. The 3-6 game is Sikeston and Charleston. And the 2-7 game is Cape Central and Poplar Bluff. That's the SEMO Conference Tournament in the same week as that Holcomb Invitational Tournament, December 1st through the 5th, for the SEMO Conference Tournament in Sikeston. So certainly a big tournament to look forward to among the bigger schools. It's the premier conference here in Southeast Missouri, making up the bigger schools in the region. So we'll be looking forward to that. That's certainly been a very, very competitive tournament going back the last few years. What kind of sticks out, New Madrid County Central, considered one of the best teams in Class 3 this year coming into the season, and they're the 5th seed, right there in the middle of the pack. So says a lot for Notre Dame coming back as the number 4 seed. 3 seed Sikeston, the 2 seed Cape Central, and top seeded Jackson. Very competitive conference each year. And to say Charleston as the 6th seed, they're going to be pretty competitive this year. Probably the best player in the SEMO Conference, Delfinko Bogan, who won Conference Player of the Year last year, coming back for Charleston. So it's going to be a competitive tournament once again this year, the way it looks coming into this season. And let's take a look at the broadcast schedule for YHC and SemoSportsZone.com this year. And we just released that a few days ago. And here's our basketball schedule for the season. We'll start off with the Holcomb Invitational Tournament Finals on December 5th. And that will be Friday, December 5th, our opening game here on YHC and SemoSportsZone.com. And later on the next week, on December 9th, South Iron at Bernie. South Iron has been one of the better teams in Class 1 here in the southern part of Missouri. They're more out west, but they've certainly been one of the best teams in the southern part of the state. They'll take on Bernie in Bernie on December 9th. December 11th, Delta C7 at Risco in that Tri-County Conference matchup. December 12th, Malden at Campbell in the Boot Hill Conference. December 16th, Jackson at Dexter in the SEMO Conference. December 19th, Marmaduke at Rector in Northeast Arkansas. They're on the 19th. And for the Bloomfield Christmas Tournament, all 26 games live once again this year, the 26th through the 30th. And we'll bring all those games to you once again this year. And into January 6th, New Madrid County Central at Kennett. January 8th, Malden at South Pemiscot in the Boot Hill Conference. January 9th, Woodland at Dexter in the Stoddard County Conference. January 12th, Scott City at Portageville. And the next day, January 13th, Clarkton at Risco, big rivalry in the Tri-County Conference. January 16th, Dexter at Bernie, the premier rivalry in the Stoddard County Conference. January 19th, Holcomb at Bernie. January 20th, Puxco at Dexter. January 23rd, Portageville at Malden. January 24th, our first girls game of the year, that's St. Joseph's Academy at Dexter. That'll be a Saturday afternoon game. January 27th, South Pemiscot at New Madrid County Central. January 29th, another girls game, St. James at Dexter. January 30th, the Stoddard County Conference Finals night. That's the third place and championship games for both JV and varsity. 4 games going throughout that evening on January 30th. On February 3rd, Twin Rivers at Bernie. And on February 6th, the Boot Hill Conference Finals. That's the championship game and championship game for both JV and varsity. 2 games that evening, and that looks to be in Crothersville this year. And also on February 9th, girls game, Notre Dame at Dexter. February 12th, Rector at Piggott there in Northeast Arkansas. February 13th, Kennett at Dexter. February 17th, Crothersville at Kennett. February 19th, Clarkton at Holcomb. February 20th, Jackson at Kennett. And February 23rd, wrapping up our regular season schedule, girls game, Dexter at Jackson. And that's our broadcast schedule for the 2014-2015 basketball season. And of course, at the end of the year, we'll bring you some district and state tournament games throughout the southeast region, and probably into state tournament play that we typically bring in Poplar Bluff and other locations. So those games will be announced as those district and state tournament games are developed later on in the year. So another full schedule for you this year. And what's unique about this year, which has steadily been developing throughout the past couple years, the way our schedule looks at this point, looks like we'll be able to bring every game to you live right here on YHC TV and SemoSportsZone.com. So that's a big development that we've certainly worked hard at over the past couple of years. I know going back probably 4 or 5 years, there wasn't one game we could bring to you live, but throughout the years we've certainly developed with New Wave Communications, certainly being a big part of that, helping us bring live games to you right here on Channel 21 on New Wave Cable and SemoSportsZone.com, and we've kind of come up with developments of our own to be able to bring more games live to you from different locations. So it's a big deal to be able to bring upwards to, I think on the schedule right now, we've got 42 regularly scheduled games as on that schedule. That's 42 games, including 26 games from the Bloomfield Christmas Tournament. So that's 68 games we've got scheduled, not including postseason play. So we'll probably certainly go over 70 games once postseason play is included at the end of the year. So when you talk about upwards to 70 or probably 72, 73 contests to bring to you right here on Channel 21 and be able to do all of them live says a lot. You won't find too many entities, and certainly in Missouri or even nationwide, that can bring that many contests to you live on television from that many locations. So we're certainly proud of that, and certainly thank New Wave Communications for being a big part of that, and our broadcast team that helps you bring all those games throughout the year. We've got a cast of broadcasters that help bring you those games throughout the year. We appreciate everyone involved in that. So we'll be looking forward to our season once again this year, getting underway December 5th with the Hawkham Invitational Tournament Finals there in Hawkham. So we'll be looking forward to that once again this year. Another full schedule to bring to you, and hopefully you'll enjoy it right here on Channel 21 on New Wave Cable and SemoSportsZone.com. And we're going to take one more break, and we're going to come back and talk about some college football and pro football games taking place this weekend. We'll be back with that coming up.
What is your emergency? Need assistance at County Road 61 and Highway 9. Help is on its way.
Clear! There's a better way to jumpstart your soil back to health. Apply Endzone to protect and increase nitrogen efficiency without killing bacteria. Apply Prevent to increase phosphorus availability and reduce fixation. Better yet, use them both to get more from your fertilizer investment and see higher potential yields. Ag Explorer, your prescription for healthy soil.
Deposit your check here or here, or even there. Deposit your check wherever you are with First Midwest Bank's new mobile deposit. Just tap, snap, deposit. It's that simple. New mobile deposit from First Midwest Bank, serving the communities we call home.
And now taking a look at some college football games taking place today as we start to wind down the college football season here in the last few weeks. 19th ranked USC at 9th ranked UCLA. It's a big Pac-12 matchup out west today at UCLA in the Rose Bowl. 25th ranked Minnesota at 23rd ranked Nebraska. It's a Big Ten matchup today. Indiana at 6th ranked Ohio State in the Big Ten. 15th ranked Arizona at 17th ranked Utah in the Pac-12. 8th ranked Ole Miss at Arkansas in the SEC. 24th ranked Louisville at Notre Dame. Boston College at 3rd ranked Florida State in the ACC. Western Carolina at top ranked Alabama. 20th ranked Missouri at Tennessee in the SEC. Texas State defeated Arkansas State earlier this week in the Sun Belt Conference, 45-27. Arkansas State took a hefty loss on the road to Texas State earlier in the week. And also this afternoon, SEMO's got a big contest ahead of them today against Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State's 9-1 on the year, and I believe SEMO's at 4-5 on the year. So a tough conference opponent in the OVC, Ohio Valley Conference, for the Redhawks this afternoon in Cape Girardeau. And those are the college football games taking place today. And also we'll take a look at some pro football games. And tomorrow, slated for tomorrow and Monday night, Lions at the Patriots in New England. Packers at the Vikings in the NFC North. The Bengals at the Texans. The Buccaneers at the Bears. Cardinals at the Seahawks in a big NFC West matchup. The defending world champions Seattle Seahawks stand at 6-4 on the year, and the Cardinals at 9-1. Very impressive season for the Cardinals, and they can pretty much start to wrap up that NFC West with a victory over the Seahawks. A loss for the Seahawks certainly going to put them probably out of reach of winning the division. They'll have to go for a wild card spot for this season if they suffer a loss to the Cardinals, but the Seattle Stadium, CenturyLink Field, certainly probably the toughest place to play in the NFL. A big test for the Cardinals tomorrow afternoon. Also, the Rams, coming off their big victory over the Broncos, are on the road against the Chargers in San Diego. That'll be a tough test for the Rams. Also, the Dolphins at the Broncos should be a good matchup tomorrow afternoon. The Redskins at the 49ers. The Cowboys at the Giants in the NFC East. And in 2 Monday night matchups, the Jets and Bills game will be Monday night. Actually, it's 6 o'clock on CBS. That was supposed to be an afternoon game in Buffalo, but that big snowstorm they've got up there, upwards to more than 4 feet they've had this past week. They've moved that game from Buffalo to Detroit. Detroit will be the site of that game, and what a treat for NFL fans. They're giving away free tickets for that contest, and certainly going to have to be have some added incentive to get Bills fans and Jets fans into a Detroit stadium. Both playing out of New York, going to Detroit to play that on a neutral field. So giving away free tickets to fill that place up, and a good deal for NFL fans to go to an NFL game for free there in Detroit Sunday night. And that'll be on CBS Sunday night at 6 o'clock. And the Monday Night Football game on ESPN, Ravens at the Saints in New Orleans. So that's a game to look forward to as well. And those games taking place this weekend and Monday night in NFL football. And that's pretty much all we've got to report on for your roundtable for today. And we appreciate you for tuning in. We'll be sure to see you right back here with us next week. Actually, we won't be here next week. We won't have a show next week. I'm actually getting married next weekend, next Saturday actually, so won't be in for a live show. We might put together a replay show from the last few weeks to air for next week. But the following week, that'll be December 6th? December 6th, we will have our preview, basketball preview. We typically do it next week over Thanksgiving weekend due to my upcoming marriage and the honeymoon the week after. We're going to be having a show 2 weeks from today, coming back with our basketball preview on December 6th. Our high school basketball preview, even though it'll kind of be in season already for a week. We'll kind of do a preview, even though we got some games to look at already, so that'll be fun as well. We'll have contributors in, numerous contributors for boys and girls basketball to talk about the upcoming season. Also, coaches we'll have in the studio and over the phone as well to talk about their upcoming season. So look forward to that basketball preview on December 6th, our next live show right here on the Roundtable here on Channel 21 and SemoSportsZone.com. So look forward to that coming up in 2 weeks. And that's all we've got for you today. Go Green Wave for high school football this afternoon, taking on the 3-time defending state champion, Lamar. Go Green Wave today, and we'll see how that plays out today, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for our next live show for the Roundtable. Take care, everyone.